say good morning?
Good morning.
Thank you, Elise. All right, we're going to be doing problem number 1 using the method called completing the square to do this. The very first thing I would like you to do, whenever you're completing the square, is I would like you to move the constant, whatever constant that you have, across. All right? So move that across. If and only if, right now, what would be half that number? Half that number would be a negative 2.5. Is negative 2.5 squared equal to negative 11 over 4? No. So we have to move this across. We'll have x squared minus 5x, put a plus in empty box, we're going to complete the square, equals, and what did we move over? We moved an 11 over 4, 11 fourths over, and put plus in empty box. Whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side of the equation. Note that this is the c value that we're looking for. Our c value, from what we talked about yesterday, is always the b value divided by 2 squared. Okay? So right now, our a value right here is a 1, even though you can't see it. We automatically assume it's a 1 if there's no number in front of it. Our b value is a negative 5, and our c value will be what? Half of negative 5, and what do we have to do? We have to square it, and that gives us 25 over 4. So what I'd like you to do with that 25 over 4 is I'd like you to place it right here and right here. Place 25 over 4 in both places. That is how you complete the square. You take half the b value and you square it. So this is what you should have in your journal. Now, the next part is, how do I factor this right here? How do I factor it? No, it's always going to be x plus b over 2 times x plus b over 2. So think about it. What was our b value divided by 2? It was what? A negative what? Negative 5 over 2. So that's we're just rewriting it as x minus 5 over 2 times x minus 5 over 2. Now here, we can combine these right here. 11 fourths and 25 fourths combines to make, it does combine to make 9, but I'm going to say, first of all, 36 over 4. Alright, and yes, that reduces to a 9. Okay? So the last thing I'd like you to do right here before we finish solving the problem is make x minus 5 over 2 squared equals a 9. If you have two factors that are the exact same factors being multiplied to each other, they become a factor squared. Okay? Now that we have this, what would be the next step in the process for us to solve for our x values? What do we have to do to both sides? We have to take the square root of both sides. This becomes x minus 5 over 2 equals. This is where students sometimes they forget. If it's an equation and you're taking the square root, you have to have a plus or a minus whatever the radical is. So in this particular case, it's plus or minus a 3. At this point, and this point only, do you break it down into two equations. One of my equations is x minus 5 over 2 equals a positive 3. The other one is x minus 5 halves equals a negative 3. So you separate this right here into two equations, and then you solve each of the equations independently of each other. All right? It's the same step. What's the only thing I have to do all the way across the board? Simply what?
Plus 2 halves over 2.
That's it. That's it. That's all we have to do is just add 5 over 2 or add 5 halves all the way across. All right? Now, in your calculator, all right, if you did this, you'd probably get x equals 5.5 for this one. And over here, you'd probably say x equals negative 0.5. What I want you guys, your solution set to be, all right, for the negative 0.5, I would like you to convert that to a negative half. And for 5.5, I'd like you to convert that to 11 halves. And your solution set is a negative half, comma, 11 over 2. All right? Negative half and 11 over 2. Now, this is what's called our solution set. These are the roots. All right? Also known as the x-intercepts, also known as zeros. All right? That's your final. That's going to be your final answer. Okay, that you're gonna put down. Now, there's a way to check this in the calculator without having to do a whole bunch of stuff. All right. So I'm going to show you guys how to check things in your calculator. Okay. I'm going to hit y equals. All right. I'm going to type in the original equation. The original equation was x squared minus 5x minus 11 divided by 4. All right. And here's what I want us to do, without even having to graph it, okay, without even hitting this graph button right here and looking at it, I want you to go second window, and let's check the table at a negative 0.5. That was one of our roots, right? Negative half. Check the table, and what do you notice about our y value? It's equal to what? 0. That means we got it right. Our y value is equal to 0. We could also hit second window. And this time we're going to check what? 5.5, that was our other root, correct? 5.5, 11 over 2. Now, that was possible. Check the table, and what does it say? It says what? 5.5, 0. Like, well, what if I put 11 over 2? Will it still work if I do 11 over 2? Because you told me to put 11 over 2. It still works. All right? So you can check your roots by plugging them into your table. But first, what you have to do, Jordan, you got to type your original what? Your original quadratic equation. All right? That's how you can check your roots. Okay? Now, what I'd like you guys to do now is put number 2 in your journal. We're going to start number 2 and work on it all the way from beginning to end. All right? All right. Number 2 is a little bit more difficult than number 1. For those of you who are making lots of noises with crinkling papers and stuff like that, it's a little annoying, just saying.
Oh, don't anyway.
Oh.
I just didn't want to get up while you were talking.
Alright, the first problem that we have is the fact that our A value right here is not a 1. Our A value is a negative 4. So the very first thing I would like you to do on this problem, everybody, is I need you to divide every single number by a negative 4. Okay? So see what we have left when we do that. Okay? Right now, we have x squared plus an 11 over 4 times an x equals a negative 7 over a 4. So that's what we have. So what I'd like you to do as you write things down, I'd like you to put a box here, the box right there. And always realize that this box, our C value, is going to be the B value divided by 2, and then you're going to square it. That's what you're going to do. Now, this is a little bit more difficult because we have a fraction for our B value. Right now, what's our B value? We did get our A value equal to a 1. Our B value is what? 11 over 4? I need you guys to understand, dividing by 2 and multiplying by a half is the exact same thing. So instead of doing this, everybody, instead of taking 11 over 4 right here and dividing that 11/4 by 2 and squaring it, instead of doing this, I want you to think of it this way. I'd like you to take 11 over 4, and I'd like you to multiply it by a half, and then we're going to square it. So in your journal, write this right here. We're taking 11/4, we're going to multiply it by a half, and then we're going to square it. 11/4 times a half gets me to 11 over an 8. Because 11 times 1 is 11. 4 times 2 is 8. 11/8 squared gets me to a 121 over a 64. 11 times 11 is 121. 8 times 8 is 64. What does this number right here represent? That represents our C value. So take that 121 over 164 right there, and I'd like you to put it in this box and this box. There we go. All right. Now, once you've done that, okay, now what we have to do is we need to factor this guy right here. We have to factor, okay? And I need you to understand that once again, you have to do what? X plus our b value divided by 2 times x plus your b value divided by 2. In this case, what was our b value divided by 2? In this case, it ended up being what? It ended up being 11 over 8.
What?
Our b value, when we took half of our b value, remember Ryan, this right here, this was our b value. When we took half of it right here, that became 11 over 8. So what we're going to do, here's the factor, everybody. Here is x squared plus 11 over 4x plus 121 over 64 factored. It's going to be x plus 11 over 8 times x plus 11 over 8 equals negative 7 fourths plus a 121 over a 64. Now, if you guys get a problem like this, it's very easy to do in the calculator. You don't have to do a whole bunch of stuff. Just know, in the calculator, you could go alpha y equals enter. You can type in negative 7 divided by 4. Wait a second. Let me go back. Oh, no, I didn't. It is negative 7 fourths. Okay, just making sure. All right. All right, here, calculator. Clear this out. Negative 7 over 4 plus alpha y equals enter. We had what? 121 over 64. Press enter, and automatically, what does the calculator spit out? 9 over 64. So you could use your calculator to help you out. All right. So we're going to go back right here. And here's what I want you to write. X plus 11 over 8 squared equals 9 over 64. We're almost done to the last step. All right, what's our final step that we're going to have to do before we break it into 2 equations? We have to take the what? Take the square root of this. Take the square root of this. The left side's very easy. It's just x plus an 11 over 8 equals. This is where you need to put the plus or the minus. What's the square root of 9? 3. Okay. Okay. Thank you for answering the question before I asked you. You said 8 because what were you expecting me to what are you answering? The square root of 64. Very good. All right. So the square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 64 is 8. Now is the only time that you're going to break it into 2 equations. Here's the equations you need to solve. X plus 11 over 8 equals a positive 3/8, and x plus 11 over 8 equals a negative 3/8. And there's only one step you have to do all the way across the board. Subtract 11/8 all the way across. And when you do that, you get x equals negative 8 over 8, which is a negative 1. Over here, x equals, what is it?
Negative 7 fourths.
14 over 8, which reduces to negative 7 fourths. All right? So our solution set, everybody, is negative 7 fourths, comma, negative 1, and that's your final answer as a solution set.
Can you pause it?